Welcome to the channel. Wherever you are, I invite you now to settle into stillness. Let your shoulders soften, let your breath ease, and allow your thoughts to drift gently backward across centuries, past the noise of today, into a colder, quieter world. You are not a jarl or a warrior. You are a farmer, and you are very, very cold. So draw the fur tighter around your shoulders. The hearth is low and the wind howls outside the wooden slats. This is the hidden misery of a Viking winter, of frostbitten famine, of endless, dark days, and the crushing solitude of the snow. For when the land freezes over, the sap in the trees does also, and the hunt for firewood becomes a desperate struggle against the cold. Foraging for berries and herbs a dangerous journey, through the frozen wasteland to the communal longhouse where a small fire sputters in the center, surrounded by the huddled masses of your fellow farmers, each trying to keep their family alive through the endless winter. But there is hope. Spring is coming. The sun will rise again. And in the light of day, the hard work begins to clear the ice from the fields, to plant the seeds of the future harvest. For the Vikings, the struggle against the winter was a test of endurance. It was a test they had to pass every single year. In the rugged chronicles of the Viking Age, we often celebrate their prowess as fierce raiders and intrepid explorers. But what if I told you there was another side to this storied history? What if we peeled back the layers of blood and battle to reveal a truth more haunting and relatable than any clash of swords? Welcome to my channel. Today, let's unfurl a saga less told. The saga of the lost Viking farmstead, a place where dreams set sail and some never returned. Why did Vikings abandon their farms? Hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to dive deeper into these historical tales. Let's embark on this enlightening journey together. The fading light, the winters in northern latitudes are unforgiving, even for seasoned Vikings. The sun, once a life-giving deity, retreated behind the horizon earlier each day, casting the land in perpetual twilight. By November, the days were shorter than the lifespan of a maid. This wasn't just an inconvenience. This was a test of trial by cold and darkness. It was as if the gods themselves were testing the mettle of the Norsemen, pushing them to the edge of it. The disappearance of daylight had a profound impact on every aspect of their lives. Farming, once a source of sustenance and pride, became a gamble. The crops withered under the unforgiving frost. The cattle grew gaunt, their breath misting in the frigid air, and the very soil seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the return of the sun. The gnawing hunger when the light fades. So does hope. As the days shortened, the pantry grew leaner. Summer's bounty of berries and fish transformed into winter's hunger. The bite in the wind turned into a gnawing in the belly. Each meal became a somber affair, each bite a testament to survival rather than satisfaction. It wasn't just about the absence of food. It was about the struggle to maintain hope in the face of dwindling rations. The Viking, known for his hearty feasts and boisterous laughter, became a shadow of his former self, haunted by the specter of famine. Stifling close to longhouses, once bustling with life, echoed with the silence of fear. The tightly knit community, the backbone of Viking society, began to fray at the edges. The camaraderie that had seen them through countless hardships now seemed like a distant memory. The laughter of children was replaced by hushed whispers, the clink of tankards by the crackling of the fire. Each family huddled within their own four walls, guarding their meager possessions and their dwindling hope. The spirit of community, the very essence of Viking resilience, seemed to falter in the face of winter's relentless grip. Fearsome visitors, fear, like a venomous serpent, slithered into the cracks of their lives, coiling around their hearts. It started with whispers, tales of villages decimated, of families vanished without a trace. The harsh reality was that during such times, desperation breeds danger. Bandits, raiders, and wolves, all drawn to the scent of vulnerability, prowled the frozen wastes, turning every shadow into a potential threat. The Vikings, once masters of their own destiny, found themselves prisoners in their own homes, watching the world through the prism of fear, a silent farewell as the grip of winter tightened. So did the bonds of necessity. When the sun finally returned, it was greeted with a chilling sight. The abandoned farmstead stood desolate, a silent testament to the brutal reality of survival. The fires had died, the tools lay scattered, and the only footprints were those left by the departing travelers. It was as if the very earth had swallowed their hopes and dreams along with the last embers of their courage. However, there were a few who dared to defy the odds, those who chose to stay and fight another day. They watched the sea, hoping for rescue, their eyes reflecting the bleak landscape around them. Others turned to prayer, seeking solace in the arms of the gods. their pleas carried away by the biting wind. Some delved into ancient tales, finding strength in the sagas of their forefathers, drawing inspiration from their ancestors' resilience. And then there were those who looked inward, discovering reservoirs of strength and wisdom within themselves. They shared their meager rations, consoling the sick, tending to the wounded, and teaching the young ones the virtues of patience and bravery. These were the true survivors, those who understood that sometimes the harshest winters reveal the warmest hearts. But as the full saga of their resilience unfolded, a small band of adventurers approached the settlement. Led by a chieftain named Leif Erikson, these Vikings had braved the icy seas in the hope of trade and maybe just a bit of solace. What they found was a story etched in silence, a tale whispered by the wind and written in frost. Yet they saw the footprints, deciphered the signs, and felt the pulse of the departed. With heavy hearts, they collected the abandoned possessions, paying homage to the unseen spirits that lingered in the frozen air. They gathered around the dying fires, sharing memories and stories of their own struggles, honoring the fallen with tallies of valor and survival. When they finally set sail, it was with a newfound respect for the fragility of life and the tenacity of the human spirit. The abandoned farmstead remained shrouded in mystery, a monument to a chapter of Viking life rarely spoken of. But the memory of those who stayed behind resonated in the hearts of the living, serving as a reminder that the greatest adventures are not always about faraway lands, but about the strength found within. As the saga of the abandoned farmstead echoes through time, it offers us a glimpse into a part of Viking history seldom celebrated. It's a story of despair and determination, of loss and lingering hope. In the face of winter's relentless siege, the Vikings exhibited not just their physical endurance but also the quiet strength of their spirit. It was a test of their resolve, a trial by cold, darkness, and hunger, which, though it took much, left behind a legacy of resilience that continues to inspire us. Their story reminds us that the coldest winters can reveal the warmest hearts, and that sometimes the most harrowing journeys are those we endure within ourselves. Now, my friends, it's your turn to weave your thoughts into this saga. What do you admire most about the Vikings' resilience in the face of such harsh conditions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this tale as captivating as the sagas of old, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe. Until next time, may your journey be ever in sunshine and your heart ever warm. Take care. You have heard the tale of El Dorado, the lost city of gold. Tonight, we offer you the hoard of the sunken king. 16 tons of silver, 400 pounds of gold, an emerald the size of a fist, pearls beyond counting, buried with a king whose bones were never found. To unearth such riches, you must journey deep into the jungle heart of Colombia, where vines smother ancient stones and the silence is heavy with secrets. Here, in this realm of emerald shadows, you search for the tomb of Sir Henry Morgan, a pirate, a privateer, a gentleman adventurer. Depending on who tells the story, there is truth in all those words. Henry Morgan was a man of legend, an audacious leader, a master strategist, a ruthless killer. When he died in 1688, he left no heir, no widow, no will, only rumors. Rumors of unimaginable wealth hidden in a secret tomb. A mystery that never seemed to end. If the Spanish ever discovered Morgan's final resting place, they kept it to themselves. 2 centuries passed, and yet the legends persisted. Was there some truth to the tales of pirates burying treasure, perhaps to escape the clutches of greedy kings or jealous rivals? Or were these mere fabrications, conjured by swashbuckling rogues to lure unsuspecting fortune hunters to their doom? The answer remains lost to time. What is certain is that the mystery refused to die. Henry Morgan became an enduring image, immortalized in paintings and poems, his likeness even appearing on coins minted in the Cayman Islands. For centuries, the lore endured, fueling dreams of hidden fortunes. Then, in the early 20th century, the first modern expedition set out into the Colombian jungle to find the fabled tomb. Led by famed archaeologist Federico Peñuelas, they scoured the Llanos de Cham, a vast swampy region where Morgan's treasure was said to lie. Years turned into decades. Theories abounded, but the prize remained elusive. Had the treasure been found and spirited away long ago? Were the clues leading explorers astray on purpose? Or was the entire story a fanciful tale with no basis in reality? Still, the quest continued. And then, in 2015, new hope emerged. A previously unknown map surfaced, its faded lines hinting at the location of Morgan's final resting place. Armed with this tantalizing clue, archaeologists embarked on a daring mission to uncover the buried secrets beneath the jungle floor. Their shovels sliced through layers of earth, each movement charged with anticipation. Then, as if the earth itself was revealing its secrets, they hit a wooden box. The air crackled with excitement as they carefully pried it open. Inside, nestled in a bed of decaying cloth, lay a collection of gold and silver coins. But this was only the beginning. As the dig deepened, so did the mystery. More coffins appeared, each a silent witness to a bygone era. One bore the inscription Henry Morgan, confirming the site's significance. But the enigma deepened. Why were the bodies laid to rest in a remote jungle clearing? And where was the rumored treasure? The puzzle remains unsolved. The excavations continue. New discoveries promise to shed more light on the enigmatic tale of Sir Henry Morgan. But as the jungle yields its secrets, it also tightens its grip. Vines creep, monkeys chatter, and the humidity hangs heavy, as if the very trees are watching, guarding secrets best left undisturbed. Now let the humidity of the jungle press against you. The buzz of insects thicken the air. You stand at the edge of a clearing. Before you, half swallowed by the encroaching forest, lie the ruins of a grand estate. Crumbling walls and overgrown courtyards whisper tales of a bygone era of opulence and intrigue. But here, amid the ruins, a new mystery unfolds. Hidden beneath the overgrown paths, concealed within the crumbling masonry, lies a labyrinth of tunnels. It is a subterranean maze, its entrances disguised, its existence long forgotten. Rumor has it that these tunnels conceal untold secrets, perhaps hidden treasures, perhaps long-lost artifacts, perhaps evidence of crimes so heinous they were buried from history. Intrigue thickens as whispers spread of a mysterious figure lurking within the tunnels, a shadowy guardian, a protector of secrets. They call him the ghost of Osceola, and now he watches you descend. Now, if you dare enter the dark and winding passages, be careful, the air grows thick with anticipation. Each step echoes in the oppressive silence. Suddenly, the tunnel opens into a cavernous chamber. Before you lies a sight that steals your breath. Rows upon rows of books line the walls, their leather covers and gilded spines whispering tales of forbidden knowledge. A single ray of sunlight pierces the gloom, illuminating motes dancing in the stagnant air. And in the center, upon an ornate desk, rests a leather-bound journal. Its pages, filled with spidery script, detail the dark secrets held within these underground chambers. The journal speaks of forbidden rituals, of ancient curses, and of a power so great it can shatter empires. But beware, for the ghost of Osceola is near. He glides through the shadows, his presence a chill against your skin. If you linger too long among the forbidden texts, if you disturb the slumbering secrets, he may claim you for eternity. Will you flee the labyrinth, leaving the secrets buried, or will you delve deeper, braving the darkness and defying the ghost to uncover the forbidden lore? The choice is yours, and time slips by like sand through an hourglass. Choose wisely, for every moment brings you closer to the enigmatic 13th gate. In the eerie silence of the night, you stand before a weathered archway. Above you, the words "trespassers, beware" seem to writhe in the darkness. As you approach, the source becomes clear. A dilapidated mansion, its windows vacant eyes staring into the abyss. It is here, they say, that the 13th gate holds its darkest secrets, where unspeakable rituals were performed and where souls were lost forever. The front door creaks open as if inviting you in. Inside, the air grows thick with the scent of decay and the silence is deafening. Shadows dance in the flickering candlelight, twisting ordinary objects into grotesque shapes. Then you hear it, the faint sound of footsteps on the grand staircase. As the sound draws nearer, your heart pounds in your chest. A figure emerges from the gloom, their face obscured by the shadows. Who are they? Are they friend or foe? As the figure steps into the light, their features become clear. Their eyes, burning with an otherworldly glow, reveal their true nature. Yes, you realize with a jolt, it is the enigmatic caretaker, the keeper of the 13th gate's secrets. They have been watching you, guiding you to this moment. But why? What do they want? The question hangs in the air as the caretaker beckons you deeper into the mansion's labyrinthine halls. What secrets will you uncover in the depths of the 13th gate? Will you confront the caretaker and demand answers, or succumb to the mansion's suffocating embrace? The choice, my friends, is yours. And with that, our tale comes to a close. Which adventure will you choose? Will you brave the darkness of the 13th gate, seeking answers and confronting the enigmatic caretaker? Or will you turn back, leaving the secrets buried in the overgrown mansion and the whispers of the woods echoing behind you? Share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this journey, please remember to share and subscribe. Until next time, may your choices lead you to wisdom, and your path be filled with light. Remember, in the grand tapestry of life, every decision is a thread that weaves your unique destiny. Choose wisely, my friends, for the fates of heroes and villains are forged in the moments of choice. Welcome to my channel. In today's episode, we're exploring a truly unique aspect of Viking culture. Come with me on a captivating journey into the realm of the Vikings' greatest feast. You won't want to miss this. Embark on a journey back in time. The year is 830 AD. For 3 days, you've been traveling north. Your ship has sliced through the frigid waves, battling relentless winds. Now the coast is in sight. You have arrived at Hidibi, nestled in a sheltered inlet where the Gator River meets the sea. This was not just any settlement. This was the beating heart of Viking trade. the hub of the north. Here merchant ships from across Europe docked, bringing with them exotic goods and tales from distant lands. Here, too, were the mighty longships, sleek and swift, always ready to set sail for new conquests. As twilight falls, casting long shadows across the harbor, you spot a grand hall rising above the rest. Its roof is adorned with dragon heads, their tails curling around the eaves like protective serpents. Ivy and wood turn to stone in the flickering lamplight. You know instinctively that this is where the big chieftains reside, where decisions are made that will shape the fates of entire clans. Tonight a great feast is being held here. You can hear the rhythmic thump of hammers on shields, the raucous laughter echoing across the water, the haunting strains of a flute mingling with the deep rumble of a drum. With bated breath, you approach the longhouse, stepping over the threshold into a blaze of light and sound. Before you is a scene of pure revelry. Men and women are gathered around tables laden with roasted meats, overflowing flagons of ale, mounds of fresh bread still steaming. At the high table, a burly chieftain with a crown of twisted braids raises his horn in a toast, his eyes flashing with the fire of 1,000 suns. Around him are men of stature, some with weathered faces like the cliffs along the coast, others with athletic frames honed by years of raiding. Their weapons are laid aside, their axes and swords replaced by tankards and goblets. Tonight, they are not warriors. Tonight, they are You feel a hand on your shoulder and turn to find yourself face to face with a man whose gaze seems to hold the wisdom of ages past. His beard flows down his chest like a frozen waterfall. His face is a map of his journeys, etched with lines that tell tales of battles won and storms endured. He introduces himself as a storyteller, a keeper of sagas, and he invites you to join the festivities, to become part of this unforgettable night. The great feast unfolds as the evening deepens. The storyteller regales the company with tales of daring exploits and legendary heroes. His voice booms, carrying the audience away to lands of ice and fire, of monsters and magic. You find yourself captivated, not only by the stories, but by the hall itself. Carved into the walls are scenes from Norse mythology, from the creation of the world to the valiant deeds of gods and giants. Above you, a roaring hearth crackles, sending sparks spiraling up the chimney like shooting stars. The air is thick with the aroma of roasting boar and the taste of mead, sweet and strong as the spirit of adventure that courses through every Viking's veins. Across the hall, you notice a group of men playing a game of natalika. They move with skill and grace, leaping and dodging as they try to push a leather ball through a hoop. Nearby, a group of women are engaged in a lively game of their own. They are playing a board game called Tavla, its pieces sliding across the board with each player, maneuvering to gain the upper hand. There is laughter and friendly banter, but also intense focus and strategic thought. It's a reminder that Vikings, like all people, found joy not only in battle and conquest, but in the simple pleasures of life as well. As the night wears on, you realize that this is more than just a feast. It's a celebration of life, of community, of the bonds that unite the Vikings despite their love of plundering and pillaging. Here in this grand hall, you witness the power of storytelling, the thrill of competition, the warmth of camaraderie. And as the first rays of dawn begin to peek through the cracks in the walls, you understand that you have experienced something truly special. A glimpse into the heart and soul of the Viking way of life. Status symbols of the Viking Age. Welcome to our show. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of Viking status symbols, where power and prestige were displayed through more than just brute force. Imagine being a Viking. Your world is one of rugged landscapes, icy seas, and a society that values strength and cunning. How did Vikings of the 8th to 11th centuries establish their status in a world without banks, investment portfolios, or trust funds? They turned symbols, tangible representations of their power and influence that spoke volumes about their wealth, achievements, and connections. Let's start with the obvious: weapons and jewelry. In a society where warfare was a way of life, having the best gear was a must. And Viking weapons and jewelry weren't just functional. They were status symbols. Ornate swords and axes were often given as gifts to honor warriors or commemorate victories. The more intricate the design, the higher the status. But it wasn't just about what you wore, it was also about how you wore it. A chieftain's helmet might be adorned with horns or a bear's head, signifying their leadership and intimidating rivals. But status symbols weren't just about warfare. They could also reflect a person's connection to the supernatural. Amulets and charms were worn to ward off evil spirits or bring good luck, often showcasing Norse mythology or ancient beliefs. These served as a reminder of the wearer's beliefs and could enhance their social standing among those who shared those beliefs. And let's not forget about art. In a time before mass production, owning a finely crafted piece of art was a sign of wealth and culture. Runes, the Viking alphabet, could be carved into stones or wooden tablets, not just for their practical use in writing, but also as a form of expression and a way to display knowledge and literacy. One of the most intriguing aspects of Viking status symbols is how they evolved over time. Early Viking symbols often had ties to pagan beliefs and traditions, while later symbols incorporated Christian elements after the conversion of Scandinavia. This blending of old and new beliefs can be seen in everything from runic inscriptions to the design of churches. The Oseberg ship burial challenges conventional Viking norms. While traditional burials often emphasized weaponry, the ship held a wealth of nonviolent artifacts like textiles, artwork, and furniture. This suggests that the individuals buried in the ship held status through means other than warfare, potentially indicating a shift in societal values during the 9th century. The discovery of a bronze cauldron in Birka, a Viking trading post, provides insight into the status of merchants. The cauldron, decorated with intricate patterns and scenes from Norse mythology, may have been used not just for cooking but as a symbol of wealth and influence among the elite merchant class. Status symbols weren't just about the individual. They also played a role in group identity. The famous Bayeux tapestry, while depicting the Norman conquest of England, also shows Vikings wearing distinctive clothing and carrying banners that symbolize their allegiance to their king and their homeland. So why do these seemingly distant historical details matter today? Status symbols and identities are still a significant part of our daily lives. Whether it's the clothes we wear, the cars we drive, or the causes we support, we all use symbols to convey our values and affiliations. Understanding how Vikings used symbols in the past gives us a deeper appreciation for the complexities of human culture and the universal desire to express oneself. The Viking way of life. A final toast now. Under the soft glow of oil lamps, the feast draws to a close. Laughter subsides, replaced by the murmur of satisfied conversation. The flickering flames cast dancing shadows on the walls, making the intricate carvings seem to writhe and come alive. Outside, the wind whispers tales of faraway lands, of adventures yet to be had. The great hall, with its towering roof and roaring hearth, feels like a microcosm of the Viking world itself, a place where stories are born, where bonds are forged, and where the spirit of adventure burns bright. You raise your horn in a final toast, a silent tribute to a way of life that once roamed freely across the seas, leaving behind a legacy that continues to fascinate and inspire. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, may your adventures be filled with wonder, your halls echo with laughter, and your toasts forever ring with the spirit of the Viking. Alright everyone, it's time to talk about one of my favorite things in all of gaming. Strongholds, settlements, and building your base. If you've been following for any amount of time, you know I love this kind of stuff. And while the crafting mechanics of something like Valheim will get me excited, it's actually making the settlement and thinking about how I interact with my environment, how I build in it and adapt to it, that really gets the wheels turning in my head. And so today, I want to talk about what building bases tells us about human nature. Because in each game, it's a lot easier said than done. And no matter what style of game it is or whether or not I have freedom of aesthetic choice, I can still make some conclusions. Take Valheim as our first example. I mean, come on, who doesn't love Valheim? I haven't played as much as I wanted to, but I've had such a blast with the friends that I have played it with. What I find fascinating here is that the game tries to impose its own will on you, not through any sort of narrative or story, but simply through mechanics. This is a survival game, which means you have to keep your health up, and you need food and shelter. While you might have a great deal of freedom to build wherever you want, the game has already established that the place you choose will have an impact on how well you survive. Swamp is a terrible place to start your settlement because it is filled with enemies and creepy crawlies that can take chunks of your health away when you're still weak. You'll probably end up dying a few times in the swamp, and every time you die you lose some of what you were carrying, so the stakes are high when you choose your first spot. But the second you leave that area, you'll find the game becomes a lot easier. The Vikings of the Viking Age raided, traded, fought, and farmed. They lived very similar to the way we live today, so their longhouses are usually depicted as quite simple, but they would have been very functional and the heart of the community. The layout of the longhouse plays into the status of the people that occupy them. The jarl would have sat at one end of the table next to his shield maiden, and they would have been directly opposite from the entrance. To show respect, guests would have had to walk directly in front of the jarls to get to their seats. The placement of your seat also showed your status. The best seats were close to the jarl, and if you were a guest, you would be shown to your seat by a servant. The lower status members of the community would have sat closer to the wall with the roof sloping above them. Status in Viking culture was everything. Who you were related to, where you sat, who you were allowed to speak to, and even how much food you got was based entirely on your status in the community. This is clearly shown in the layout of the longhouse, the benches, the cups, even the roof supports, and the number of furs you have would all show how important you are. It's even said that the thickness of the blanket you use would denote your status. When winter comes, the longhouse is where everyone would go to be safe and warm. Here is where they would eat, drink, socialize, and tell stories. It's easy to forget that when we think of Vikings, we usually picture people pillaging, fighting, and sailing around in their longship. But farming communities are usually the backbone of any society, and the Viking Age was no different. Most Vikings spent most of their lives tending to their farms and their animals, and the longhouse was the center of this. Life was hard and cold in Scandinavia during the Viking Age, so the longhouse offered sanctuary and warmth during the long, dark winters. I don't know about you, but I could really go for a nice big mug of mead right about now. In real life, we see plenty of examples of how people establish their dominance or worth through the space they control. Remember those movies where the hero goes into the bad guy's lair and destroys it? That's a pretty common theme because it represents a defeat on all fronts. If the villain had a huge castle or palace, then it shows that they have money, power, and influence. By destroying it, the hero takes all of that away and shows that they are superior. Of course, this happens most often in fantasy settings where the magic system might allow someone to destroy a huge castle in a matter of seconds, but it's a thing that humans have done throughout history. When Genghis Khan and his Mongol armies would lay siege to a city, one of their goals would be to kill or capture the nobility and destroy the rest of the city. This is why castles and palaces have been attacked so often. They represent wealth, power, and status. But what if you couldn't get to the palace because it is on top of a mountain guarded by impassable cliffs? This brings us to our next game, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a very realistic medieval game. The reason I bring it up here is because of its depiction of castles and fortresses. This isn't a game about building castles, but rather one about living in a medieval world. You play as a peasant, and the game takes place in Bohemia, which is now part of the Czech Republic. The game does a fantastic job of creating an immersive medieval world, and the castles and fortresses are a huge part of that. The medieval period was all about controlling the landscape, and this was done largely through castles and fortresses were built on top of mountains, and it would be virtually impossible for a peasant to sneak into one without getting caught. Even during the day, a castle would be almost impossible to infiltrate without a guide. There are certain ways that peasants could get into castles, though. Usually there's a gate in the main wall that opens during the day so traders and visitors can enter. Also, a lot of castles had extra housing outside the main walls for servants and tradesmen who had business in the castle. Lastly, peasants could enter through the front gate if they were invited by a lord or lady. If you didn't have permission to be in a castle, you could face heavy fines or even imprisonment. These were places of power and authority, and even the smallest infraction could get you killed. This really speaks to the relationship that humans have with structures like this. They're symbols of power and wealth, but they're also a physical manifestation of rules and laws. Whenever I see a structure like this in a game, I wonder how I can get inside. In a game like Fallout 4, there are plenty of opportunities to get into fancy buildings and change them forever. This image of me standing in front of the destroyed citadel, the headquarters of the Brotherhood of Steel, shows this perfectly. It's iconic because it subverts expectations. No one is going to expect a grunt like the player character to storm the Brotherhood as headquarters and single-handedly ruin it. At least not at the beginning of the game, but here it is. I'm sure that for many of you playing Fallout 4, this was your goal when you found out that the Brotherhood of Steel was planning to use a nuke to wipe out the entire Commonwealth. But for me, I remember feeling empowered and validated. This one action felt like it changed the entire world. I was given the tools to destroy a symbol of power and take its place. If we look at the opening scene of the game, we see that the main character is trapped in a vault with minimal possession. As the game progresses and the player finds better armor and weapons, they become less vulnerable to the world around them. Once they leave Vault 111, the game world opens up and the player is free to do whatever they want. As players, we all know that the game world depends on our actions and our choices. So when we're given the chance to change something about the world, we jump at it. For me, this is one of the reasons I love role-playing games so much. I'm given a situation and I have to deal with it however I see fit. Sometimes the world will try to stop me, but with enough effort and planning, I can usually get what I want. Getting inside a place that you're not supposed to be in, or changing the world by destroying a structure that symbolizes power and wealth is pretty satisfying as a player. It makes us feel like the world is ours to shape, and that's pretty cool. So what do you think? Do you have any stories about sneaking into places you weren't supposed to be in? What about destroying places that symbolize power and wealth? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, please consider supporting the channel. Until the next one, stay awesome. The long winter comes to a close. We began tonight in the chill of a Viking farmstead where each day was a quiet trial against the cold, against hunger, against the silence of neighbors and the threat of darkness. A life not of epic conquest, but of routine hardship, carried out with quiet resolve. Then we drifted with Leif Erikson across the empty sea, not to glory, but to uncertainty. A frozen gamble, a distant shore, and a dream that faded with the seasons. Not a legend, but a man who dared. We stood beside a ship buried beneath earth. Two women entombed in beauty and mystery, their names lost, but their presence still felt. And finally, we sat in the warmth of a longhouse, not just among roasted meats and hornfuls of mead, but among careful glances and unspoken rules. A feast where status was measured not only in gold, but in gestures, in where you sat, in what you were offered. The Viking world, so often remembered for its noise, its raids, its sails, its swords, was, more often, a world of quiet endurance, of frozen soil and smoke, dim rooms, of cold mornings and colder nights. But in that quiet, there was rhythm, in that hardship resilience. And though they are long gone, their echoes still reach us, in sagas, in stones, in the hush of a winter wind that sounds, faintly, like the creak of a longship at rest. So now, as you lie still, perhaps with blankets pulled close and breath slowing, remember this: you are warm, you are safe, you are not on a fjord with the wind gnawing at your bones. You are not hauling buckets from a frozen stream. You are not listening for your neighbor's footsteps in the dark. You are here, and the past is far away. Let it drift now, like a boat slipping silently into fog. And thank you for listening.